Thank you for watching ID Mind Africa TV. Thank you very much. I want to respond to Dr. Simon Munzu's comment on genocide in southern Cameroon, Ambazonia. We have got a lot of information about his stance on federation. Yes, we respect everybody's opinion. We respect everybody's stand on the crisis. Okay, that when we have someone trying to who is a southern Cameroonian, but trying to deny the fact that genocide has occurred and is still occurring in southern Cameroon, we have problem with that. We have problem with that, and we have to respond. We have to talk and speak up when somebody like this, an intellectual, a person from southern Cameroon, but is in denial of facts. Okay, I want us to take a listen to his first audio, and then we'll come to that.
What are the issues that put you asunder with separatists and their independence agenda? Do you pick holes? What are the areas of the arguments that you pick holes, especially legal arguments? Where do you disagree with them in their advocacy, in their struggle for the independence of Ambazonia?
Once again, Yerima, please let me point out that there is nothing as Ambazonia. If you must talk of the struggle for independence, talk of the independence of the former southern Cameroons or of the former West Cameroon or of today's southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon. Ambazonia is a fiction that exists only in the mind of some delusional individuals in Cameroon and abroad. Turning to your question, there is common agreement among us Anglophone Cameroonians, including those who strongly support the Yaoundé regime, that we are marginalized, dominated, assimilated, and subjugated in this country. There is common agreement among us that since 1961, the Ahidjo and Biya regimes have sought to destroy the specific heritage and identity that the Southern Cameroons brought into its union with the Republic of Cameroon on the 1st of October 1961, and to reduce Anglophone Cameroonians to the status of second-class citizens. There is common agreement among us that we have to take action to address this situation, put an end to our domination, marginalization, assimilation, subjugation, and second-class status, and revive and safeguard our distinct identity and heritage as the English-speaking former Southern Cameroons. These points constitute the substance of the Anglophone problem and the root cause of the ongoing crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions. On them, I believe that there is no difference or disagreement between me and separatists. Our differences or disagreement relate to what needs to be done to address the situation. The separatist solution is for us to break away from the union that was formed on 1st October 1961 and establish a separate and independent country. My solution is federalist in nature. It entails accepting that we cannot rewind the clock to 1959 or 1960. We have to accept the reality that the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon unified in 1961 under the auspices of the United Nations. That union is binding on all parties. The Yaoundé regime must be held to the specific agreement entered into by the parties in 1961 to establish a federal union in which each territory conducts its affairs in accordance with its own identity, heritage, and institutions. This federalist approach is non-violent. It's predicated on the force of argument rather than the argument of force. By contrast, separatists deny that unification of our two territories took place in 1961. They deny that the United Nations completed the process of decolonizing the Southern Cameroons in 1961. They deny that key international legal instruments such as the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 1608 of 21st April 1961 were properly applied. They have chosen the path of confrontation not only with the Yaoundé regime, but also with the United Nations, the African Union, the European Union, the Commonwealth, and the International Organization of the Francophonie. Separatists deliberately distort historical facts and misstate the content and significance of international legal instruments, including the United Nations Charter, resolutions of the United Nations General Assembly, and communications of the African Court of Human and People's Rights, or its predecessor, the Commission. They prefer the argument of force over the force of argument and use violence not only against those whom they claim to be the enemy, but also and even more against their own civilian population. Separatists have set the legitimate cause of Anglophone Cameroonians back considerably, not only in the psyche of our people themselves, but in the eyes of the international community. We are now faced with the challenge of redressing the damage that they have done and are continuing to do.
That was Munzu. Dr. Munzu said that those things, you just listen to the audio, okay? He has mentioned a lot of stuff that are not true, and he himself has been one of the proponents of self-determination. Okay, remember, Dr. Munzu has been member of the AAC2, right? The AAC2 committee. Okay, normally they opted for federation then, all right? They have been using the what they call the argument. They call it the argument, the force of argument, as opposed to the argument of force. We remember the SCNC have been using what they call the force of argument, right? So, from his audio, he mentioned a lot of stuff. Okay, first he said there's nothing like Ambazonia. That Ambazonia is a fiction. Okay, so I want to ask Dr. Munzu, when he was member of the AAC2, wasn't there Ambazonia already? So what was he clamoring for when he was member of the AAC2 committee? Okay, that is number one. Number two, he said Ambazonia is a delusional. It's just a delusion of some few people. Okay, so I don't understand. If Dr. Munzu says that he doesn't believe in Ambazonia, but he is a Southern Cameroonian, so is it just because of the name, or is it just because he doesn't want the name Ambazonia, or what? Because you cannot put your course. You have seen so many countries that have changed their names, their colonial names, right? A lot of countries have changed their names. So why is the name an issue for him? Okay, that is one issue. Another issue he talk about that he is in line with the separatists, as he calls Southern Cameroonians. He calls Southern Cameroonians separatists. So he is not separatist. He is federalist, as he say. But he is talking about he accepts the fact that there is marginalization. He accepts the fact that we have been dominated. He accepts the fact that we have been assimilated. He said he talked of subjugation, right? Those are issues that you have to say, yes, you are under neo-colonial domination, right? So if he said that since 1961, okay, the La Republique government has destroyed, according to him, destroyed the specific heritage and identity of our people, okay, and reduces us to a second-class citizen. Okay, now these are specific words from Simon Munzu. If you accept that we have been, that since 1961, the La Republic government has continuously marginalized us, dominated us, assimilated us, and subjugated us, right? Then you still accept that they have destroyed the specific heritage and the identity. What identity are you talking about? And the identity of a Southern Cameroonian, okay, reduces to a second-class citizen, okay? Then what, and you accept that action needs to be taken, right? Good. So you now, his own point now is that he differ with the separatists, as he calls, is the approach, okay, and what needs to be done, right? So to him, he is saying that he is a federalist, okay? He is a federalist, okay? We accept that, okay? But he's saying that we cannot rewind the clock. So there's a contradiction here, because if you accept that since 1961, you have, La Republic have destroyed the specific heritage, your own heritage, you, Simon Munzu, you know that you are part of Southern Cameroon. They have destroyed your heritage. They have destroyed your identity. They have reduced you, Simon Munzu, to a second-class citizen. Okay? And so, what action do you have to take for this to be undone, right? He mentioned that we cannot turn back the clock of time. So why are you a federalist? If you better not be anything than to pretend to stand for your people when you are still against what they are trying to do. Okay? For the past 60 years, you and the members of the AAC, okay, the AAC, you have been going through the force of argument. It's a peaceful something, right? Yeah, it's a peaceful. But for the past 60 years, the peaceful means have not been working. So when our people took peace plan in 2016, who declared war? Did our people declare war on the Biya regime, or the Biya regime declared war on our people? Right? So let's be factual here, because what he is saying is that he is for non-violence. Nobody is for violence. Self-defense is a right. Biya declared war in 2017 against our people, right? So who is saying that he is in favor of, look at the various forms of settlement of the conflict. Okay, we have to face those facts, right? We have to face those facts. Okay, Dr. Munzu has been, a member of this Anglophone community that he understands. Okay, that the Southern Cameroon needs to change their approach. If you are having the same approach, okay, but it's not working, then they come and declare war on you. What will you, Dr. Munzu, do? Will you fold your arms while they are killing your people? This is what Dr. Samuel Munzu said in 2020. He said they condemn and call for persecution of perpetrators. And after that goes, he's talking to the United Nations and the international community. They condemn and call for persecution or prosecution of perpetrators. And after that, they go silent, satisfied of having cleared their conscience. Isn't it time that these national and international actors went beyond mere condemnation of the perpetrators and demand for justice and expression of compassion for the victims? What victims? The victims of genocide and killings. Aren't they in the best position in the world to work in consultation manner to pressure the protagonists in the senseless war raging the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon to end the fighting and its trial of death, destruction, and suffering, and to return to afflicted regions to normalcy? What is making such consultation action so difficult? This was Dr. Samuel Munzu saying this. Okay, he was saying in relation to the genocide going on. Okay, but today he is a genocide denier. Okay, let me play this other audio and you listen to him.
Dr. Simon Munzu, you seem to totally disagree with those who say that government forces are committing genocide in Ambazonia. What is your grasp with this claim?
What you mean is those who say that government forces are committing genocide in the former southern Cameroons or in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. There is no place called Ambazonia. Yerima, let's be clear. The crime of genocide is not defined by public opinion. It is not defined, it is defined by international criminal law. When you are a lawyer, as I am, you don't accept that genocide exists just because lay popular opinion claims that it exists. You accept the existence of genocide when the situation presents all the ingredients of the crime of genocide as defined by international criminal law. The general public tends to consider any killing of many people as genocide. However, your readers should know that genocide is a peculiar international crime that is defined in very specific terms by a particular international legal instrument commonly called the Genocide Convention. Under this convention, the crime of genocide requires not only that certain physical acts are committed against the victims, but also that they are committed with a specific intent. The specific intent must be to destroy a targeted group partly or totally. In the case of the Anglophones in Cameroon, for there to be genocide, it has to be proved that any acts that are alleged to have been committed were inflicted upon any number of Anglophones with the specific intent of partially or totally destroying Anglophone Cameroonians as a group. This is a legal requirement.
Yes, I want to come in here because he's talking about there has been no genocide in Southern Cameroon, and he's talking of intent, okay? And he was the one that said in his other audio, he talked about that since 1961, the La République government has intentionally destroyed the specific heritage, identity of our people and made us to be second-class citizens. Okay? I want this to be clear because he is trying to divert attention. Genocide is, as he said, is that aspect of trying to wipe out a people, their identity, their, when you do Scotch egg policy means that destroying a people's, how many villages have been burned down? How many people have been burned alive? How many? I want you people to take a look at this report, okay, and question Mr. Munzu if he is a Southern Cameroonian. Let him watch this report by the United Nations. How our people have been burnt, our people have been massacred, our people have been genocided, okay, killed, just the intent to punish us, to make us remain under colonization. This is what I'm talking about. I want us to watch this report, then I'll come back.
The English-speaking part of Cameroon is in deep trouble because there's a great deal of discrimination against those people by the majority who are French-speaking. They're getting very little of the wealth or very little of the business investment and that sort of thing, so they are very angry. Secondly, when they voted under the United Nations to join the French-speaking Cameroon, they came in as a federal independent state, and they had their own legislator and their own chief of state, and they only shared the currency and the foreign policy and the defense. In 1972, the federal government had a referendum to unite, and of course this was illegal because this minority never wanted to be united totally with the rest of Cameroon, so they were just smothered and taken into Cameroon. They're very angry about it.
The security and humanitarian conditions in Cameroon's northwest and southwest regions have significantly deteriorated since the last UNOCA briefing to the Security Council in June. Violence continues to escalate, obstructing vital humanitarian aid delivery to over 430,000 IDPs and blocking health and education services to rural children. Mr. President, October was the most violent month on record in Cameroon in recent years, and judging from anecdotal reports, We fear that November will surpass October as the bloodiest month on record. We don't want to see that horrible trend continue again this month in December. The violence must stop now. Violence between government and Anglophone separatists has resulted in killings and abductions of civilians, including a U.S. missionary who was killed on October 30th. Faced with mounting insecurity, tens of thousands of Cameroonians have fled to neighboring Nigeria, as we've heard, while hundreds of thousands have been internally displaced and need humanitarian assistance. The stakes in Cameroon are too high for this crisis to continue unaddressed. Cameroon remains an essential security partner in the fight against Boko Haram and the Islamic State in West Africa, including as a member of the multinational Joint Task Force. The continuing crisis threatens to detract from our mutual security objectives in the Lake Chad Basin. Mr. President, the United States calls for an immediate and broad-based reconciliatory dialogue without preconditions between the government of Cameroon and separatists in the northwest and southwest regions. We urge all sides to forswear violence, to restore peace, and to resolve their grievances through political dialogue. The government has done little to address concerns over its own lack of respect for humanitarian principles of neutrality and impartiality, and the guarantees of unhindered access to conflict-affected populations. We urge the government of Cameroon to prioritize respect for humanitarian principles and to ensure unobstructed access for UN agencies and humanitarian NGOs assisting conflict-affected populations.
The Trump administration is committed to protecting and promoting the God-given dignity and freedom of every human being. Every individual has rights that are inherent and inviolable. They are given by God and not by government. Because of that, no government must take them away. For decades, the United States has led global efforts to promote human rights, often through multilateral institutions. While we have seen improvements in certain human rights situations, for far too long we have waited while that progress comes too slowly, or in some cases, never comes. Too many commitments have gone unfulfilled. President Trump wants to move the ball forward. From day one, he has called out institutions or countries who say one thing and do another. And that's precisely the problem at the Human Rights Council. As President Trump said at the UN General Assembly, it is a massive source of embarrassment to the United Nations that some governments with egregious human rights records sit on the Human Rights Council. We have no doubt that there was once a noble vision for this council. But today we need to be honest. The Human Rights Council is a poor defender of human rights. Worse than that, the Human Rights Council has become an exercise in shameless hypocrisy, with many of the world's worst human rights abuses going ignored, and some of the world's most serious offenders sitting on the council itself. The only thing worse than a council that does almost nothing to protect human rights is a council that covers for human rights abuses and is therefore an obstacle to progress and an impediment to change. The Human Rights Council enables abuses by absolving wrongdoers through silence and falsely condemning those who have committed no offense. A mere look around the world today demonstrates that the Council has failed in its stated objectives. Its membership includes authoritarian governments with unambiguous and abhorrent human rights records, such as the United States has no opposition in principle to multilateral bodies working to protect human rights. We desire to work with our allies and partners on this critical objective that reflects America's commitment to freedom. But when organizations undermine our national interests and our allies, we will not be complicit. When they seek to infringe on our national sovereignty, we will not be silent. The United States, which leads the world in humanitarian assistance, and whose service members have sacrificed life and limb to free millions from oppression and tyranny, will not take lectures from hypocritical bodies and institutions as America selflessly give their blood and treasure to help the defenseless. Ambassador Haley has spent more than a year trying to reform the Human Rights Council.
For too long, the Human Rights Council has been a protector of human rights abusers and a cesspool of political bias. Regrettably, it is now clear that our call for reform was not heeded. Human rights abusers continue to serve on and be elected to the Council. The world's most inhumane regimes continue to escape scrutiny.
The last thing we need, given the challenges in the region, is for a disproportionate response by security forces to result in the growing radicalization and hardening of separatist groups. We urge the government of Cameroon to prioritize respect for humanitarian principles and to ensure unobstructed access for UN agencies and humanitarian NGOs assisting conflict-affected populations.
America has a proud legacy as a champion of human rights, a proud legacy as the world's largest provider of humanitarian aid, and a proud legacy of liberating oppressed people and defeating tyranny throughout the world. While we do not seek to impose the American system on anyone else, we do support the rights of all people to have freedoms bestowed on them by their Creator.
We must not forget what French Cameroon wants to achieve out of this degree of terrorism. They believe that by slaughtering our people and roasting them like logs of wood in our faces, that fear will engulf us all, that we will get demoralized, that we will be weakened, discouraged, disillusioned, and then finally surrender. That is the agenda they want to achieve. We cannot give it to them. We must deny them over our dead bodies. We must let them know that fear and surrender isn't anymore in our vocabulary as far as the prosecution of this war is concerned. The people massacred and roasted in Bali must not be allowed to sleep for a moment in their tombs thinking that we surrender, that we let them to be sacrificed in vain. These killings, if anything, must only resurrect in us anger and determination to withstand and to confront the Republic of Cameroon for as long as they refuse to pack their tools and leave our country, our territory, our Ambazonia. Nothing short of this. We must stand, for God is on our side. Thanks for watching. Long live Ambazonia. Short live the struggle. God bless you.
So that is a very important report. You've heard from the United Nations, diplomats. You've heard how they are calling on the Biya regime to investigate crimes committed against the people of Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. This is what we are talking about. You cannot have crimes in your face and you're denying crimes that have been committed against your own people, right? And you're talking about international law. He mentioned peculiar international crime. What is peculiar when you see genocide? This is called genocide. This is mass killing. And you said if the mass killing is not intended, right? You talk about intended to a targeted group. But you have been the one who accepted first in your first audio that the Republic people have intentionally destroyed our heritage, trying to destroy our identity, trying to put us as a second-class citizen. How do you treat second-class person? How do you treat second-class person if you don't want to look at what, and this is what is ongoing. That is what angers most of us. They are still killing our people. They are still burning our houses. And Munzu spent his time arguing for them. You know, that is what is really baffling, because you can't have a genuine intellectual arguing on behalf of people who are still killing our people. And there is an ongoing crisis. Instead of you trying to stop them from killing, trying to tell them that this killing is wrong, because killing one, killing two, how many do you want them to kill before you say it's genocide? How many of our people have died in this fight? What kind of classification do you want to classify your people who have been killed? One is not enough for you to stand up for your people. How many do you want your own people to be killed for you to say enough is enough? Is it because your own family members are not part of the ones that are being killed? Or why do you trying to play the devil's advocate? Why are you defending the indefensible? Because there is genocide going on. The international community is saying it. Listen to the report. They are telling the BR regime to stop the killing and go to the negotiation table. Right? But your own argument is, oh, I am an international lawyer, international this. That has nothing to do. Even the mayor, even somebody who is not a lawyer would tell you that genocide has already occurred in Southern Cameroon. This is not about it. And you talk about, your own argument is about specific, peculiar, you talk about peculiar, targeted people. People come to your own land, to your own country. You claim you are a Southern Cameroonian. You are saying that it's not genocide. If somebody comes to your land, you talk of, yes, you accept marginalization, you accept domination, you accept assimilation, you accept subjugation. All these are what? These are part of what the colonial masters use to subdue the colonial people. They did not come with a peace plan. The colonial masters came with guns. That is what Arabo is doing, right? So if somebody comes to your land, burn your houses, kill your people, do whatever they can do to your people, are they arguing for them? Instead of helping your people, okay, the few people that, okay, let's say they have killed 10,000 people. What are you doing to help those families? To pay justice to those families that have been killed. If you spend your time arguing about genocide, but you have not done anything to the families that are bereaved, to those people who are suffering, what are you doing? You spend your time saying you are not separatists, you are not this, but you are a Southern Cameroonian. So, okay, whether you are not Ambazonian, that has nothing to do. It's what is going on in the country that is important. You don't want to support it, good and fine, but they are killing your people. This is a crime against a targeted people. You say that for a crime, for a mass killing to be termed genocide, it must be on a targeted people. Are the La Republic people killing their own people? They are killing our people. This is a targeted killing. They are killing Ambazonia. They are killing Southern Cameroonian. So if that is not genocide, I don't know where you're trying to put your term. You're trying to classify whether it's genocide or not. Okay, fight for the justice of those people who have been killed. So because it's not genocide, so you can only help investigate crimes that are genocide, or the ones that are not genocide, or the ones that you think is according to International Genocide Convention, it's not classified as genocide. But okay, mass killing, mass graves that we have seen, mass murder, whatever you call it. If you don't want to call it genocide, what do you call mass murder of Ambazonia? This is specific of Ambazonia. It has nothing to do with Francophones or La Republic people. This is on you, because you want to dodge that aspect of, oh, it's not specific. Okay, it's not specific killing of a particular people or a particular group or targeted group. What are you talking about? They are killing your people, you say it's not targeted? When Biya declared war in 2017, wasn't it against your people? What was supposed to be your role? Being federalist. You said you are talking of a force of argument. You are not for argument of force. You don't want to use violence because they are using violence. So if somebody come to your house, Dr. Munzu, and arrest, kill your people, burn your house, do all kinds of things with your people, what is going to be your reaction? Are you going to sit quiet and watch? No. Tell us, because your argument is just flimsy excuses. It's very flimsy. You are claiming to be a federalist, but you don't want to use force. For the last 60 years that you guys have been talking about this here force of argument, nothing has been done. Your AAC 1, AAC 2, AAC, you trying to, then you went to the national dialogue. What has come out from there? You have to understand that this is a new generation. This generation is not the same like that your generation. Yes, this is a new generation, and we have realized that you people were talking about your going to meetings, no action. And now, when they declare war on your own people, you said they should not fight back. You say they are using violence. When you listen to this report, the United Nations is telling those people, is telling the Republic government to make sure that they investigate those crimes committed by their own soldiers. Our people use peace plan. Our people never started the war. Our people use peace plans. And you are talking of, oh, it's not a... So, okay, if genocide, if the killing, the mass graves, the massacre of our people is not genocide, are you focused on the word genocide, or you're focused on how many of our people have been killed? Okay, it's not genocide. What do you call it? What do you call mass murder? What do you call massacre? What do you call when you see mass graves? How many of your people, if it's about number, it's about a targeted group, how many of your people have been killed for you to term it a genocide? Or for you to be questioning the public to go and investigate those people who committed those crimes against your people? Why are you focused on things that are not relevant? At this juncture, you as a person that has been in this struggle, fighting for federation, instead of trying to make sure that the federation that you are fighting is going to be a reality, because you know the Republic government don't keep to their promises, and you know that the federation that you are fighting will not come to pass because they don't even want the federation. Instead of you fighting for the federation, you are fighting against your own people who are trying to fight the same fight that you accept that, yes, you have commonalities, right? You have common issues when it comes to solving the accepting that there is marginalization. You accept that there is domination, right? You accept that there is assimilation. What is assimilation? What is domination? What is subjugation? These are normal words, terms, and that you just mentioned, right? But on the contrary, then you are still refusing that. No, they are not trying to target the particular people. Are you not contradicting yourself? Sometimes you guys have to know that when you say something, you think that people don't understand, or people cannot take those words and use against you guys. You said, yes, there is marginalization, there is all these things. Then you said, no, there is no, the killing was not on a targeted people. They are in your land, they are killing your people, you say it's not targeted. What other target do you want? How many of your people have been killed that you say it's not targeted on your people? Before you call it genocide, you want it to be targeted how? So what kind of target do you want? When they are there in your land, they are born your land. How many villages have been burned down? I don't know whether you are from Guti or you are from where, but your own village is still under subjugation. And you guys are there in Yaoundé eating fat, and you just spew out any kind of rhetorics. So you think that you can just be saying things. That is not what your job should be at this time. Your job should be holding La Republic accountable for the deaths of your people. It's whether the death be mass grave, mass killing, mass murder, massacre, or whatever you want to call it, if it's not genocide. You have to hold them. Look at the international community is holding La Republic responsible. You are not holding it responsible. You are not holding it. I understand you said we should not turn back rewind the clock of time. How do you fight for your federation if you don't fight for this aspect that you know that these people want to destroy the specific heritage? When they go and burn the museums, something that they go and enter the fawn's palace, the chief's palace, they burn things, is that not destroying the heritage? Is that not destroying your identity? When they do all this, is this not targeted to Southern Cameroonians? What kind of target do you want again? What kind of other thing do you want? I don't care if you call Ambazonia, the name is Ambazonia, you don't like the name Ambazonia. Good and fine, that has nothing to do. The countries change their names. Many countries change their names because of colonial past and so on and so forth. But that does not deny the fact that this thing is happening in what you call the Southern Cameroon, former Southern Cameroon, right? You like to call it Norway's and Southwest Norway. That's your problem. But we know, according to the 1961 independence, you note that the federal system was, as a root causes, was manipulated. So whatever you want to say, whatever you want to talk, you say you are for non-violent, good and fine for you. Because if someone come and attack you, you say you are for non-violent, they will destroy you, do everything. You say you are not. That is what. So you think marginalization? How do you marginalize someone? How do you dominate someone? How do you assimilate someone? Or how do you subjugate someone? Is it not by force? Is it not by killing them? Is it not by massacring them? Is it not by burning their houses? Then you say, no, you are not for use of force. You are still talking of that old adage, NCNC adage, that you guys use in AAC 1, AAC, force of argument. Say these guys are using the argument of force, and their people are also that they are using violence. But if you look at the specific way of redressing the crisis, right? The way of redressing the crisis, what will you say? Because you think that your own way of non-violent, okay. But there's no other way. If someone attacks you, what other way do you think you can redress this thing that you have been trying to redress with the AACs, the AAC 1, AAC 2, and all those NCNC back in the days? You were clamoring for the force of argument. You go to United Nations, you go to places trying to... What you did for the past 20 years plus, look at the difference with these 5 years that we have been fighting. Don't you see the difference? That the Republic has created commissions. They went to the dialogue. They went to Switzerland. Now they are trying to go to Canada. Don't you see the difference? If someone attacks you, you have to fight back. You have to fight back. Let no one fool you that if someone come and attack you in your house, you say, no, don't use violence. It's non-violent. Someone is using violence on you, then Munzu will come and tell us, no, it's non-violent. These people, I don't understand. So what means does he want his people to fight back? What? If someone declares war on you, he say, we are declared war. It did not declare. He did not say, okay, you people are having peace plan. He declared the war. Then you are there trying to defend the devil. For how long are you going to be the devil advocate? I don't think you can survive, because I know you can do that for whatever you want, but I don't think you can survive. Okay. Let's listen to President Chris, who went to Nigeria and trying to discuss on the issues of the arrest or in Era 10 and this issue of genocide and other stuff.
Now, tell us about the agitation for an independent Southern Cameroon.
Well, thanks again for having me. I heard you use the word secession or secessionist. It is very important that we understand that the Southern Cameroonians are not secessionists. Southern Cameroonians are not separatists. Southern Cameroonians are fighting the decolonization, because the Southern Cameroons has never, ever been part of Cameroon. I personally, I do not consider myself a Cameroonian. I consider myself an Ambazonian or a Southern Cameroonian. And so we are not secessionists, because if you look at our history, we joined the French-speaking part of Cameroon as an independent nation, just as they too were an independent nation. And we're interested to know that we were part of Nigeria. In 1953, our representatives walked out of the Eastern House of Assembly in Enugu and created the state of the Southern Cameroons. Between 1953 and 1961, the Southern Cameroons was self-governing. It was an independent state with a legislature, with a prime minister, with an educational system, with a legal system. In 1961, when we were supposed to join the French to become a federal state, it never happened, because there was never an act of union between English Cameroon or the Southern Cameroons and French Cameroon. And so when we say we as Southern Cameroonians, we are Ambazonians, we actually mean that we have never been part of the Republic of Cameroon. Now, going back to the crisis, what is going on is that on October 1st, we Southern Cameroonians will formally declare and restore the state of the Southern Cameroons. La République du Cameroon, which is French Cameroon, they've not been happy about this. And they are still living in dreamland. They're thinking that the Southern Cameroons will remain part of French Cameroon. And we have said no. And because we say no, La République du Cameroon has declared war on the Southern Cameroons, and which is why you have now thousands of the Southern Cameroons refugees flowing to Nigeria every day.
Now, in your advocacy for an independent Southern Cameroon, have you at any time made a case to the African Union and the United Nations?
We have actually made that case on several occasions. It will interest you to know that actually, I think it was in 2009 or 2010, that the United Nations, the General Assembly President of the United Nations, presented two maps of the two Cameroons to the President of La République du Cameroon, who is Paul Biya. And the essence of those two maps was to let the President of Cameroon know that there are two Cameroons, the English or the Southern Cameroons, and the French Cameroon, which is La République du Cameroon. At the African Union level, there is also a case that the Southern Cameroon has won against the French Cameroon, which also goes to strengthen the fact that the Southern Cameroons has never been part of French Cameroon.
Nigeria received from some refugees from that area. Can you tell us what exactly is happening there that has led them to become refugees here in Nigeria?
Well, what is happening is that after October 1st, last year, 2016, the state of French Cameroon, or La République du Cameroon, declared war on the Southern Cameroons, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. The French Cameroon declared war on the Southern Cameroons. Now, the part in which they declared immediate war has to do with the part that borders eastern Nigeria, the state of Cross River State, Akwa Ibom State. And so you find out that a majority of the people living in these areas had to vacate their towns and villages because the military in La République du Cameroon was unleashed to occupy a whole community. We're talking about a community of over 500,000 people. They burnt down houses, they killed people, they continue to kill people in their numbers, they burned down whole villages. In fact, what people do not understand is there is genocide currently, as I speak, going on in this part of Cameroon, being unleashed by the government of La République du Cameroon, headed by Paul Biya. So this is what is escalating the refugee crisis. The fact that war is ongoing in Cameroon, declared against Southern Cameroonians by the president of La République du Cameroon.
The Communications Secretary of the South Cameroon Ambazonia Republic, Mr. Chris Anu, many thanks for coming on Network.
Thank you. That was President Chris Anu when he was the secretary. You see, this is what we are talking about. When you deny something that is going on in your own country, you are playing the devil's advocate. Okay, Dr. Munzu have nothing to say because the war is still at this stage. Okay, so having supporting the enemy side, he has no case, because when you favor the government and you are against your own people, what do you think your people will think about you, right? Okay. Yes, we have to go to the root cause of the problem, like he is talking about. Of course, that's what we are trying to do. Okay. But when bloodsuckers are hungry, they set confusion among people. Killings of innocent people in southern Cameroon is rampant. Okay. How many people have been killed before you want the international community to come and say this is genocide? Okay. Sometimes people like Munzu has to start gaining a consciousness about his own argument, because more of the time he spent time on issues that are really not really relevant. And you know that this war is about fighting against your own people. It's a genocide. Okay. It's a genocide. Okay. But no amount of killings can ever stop the collective will and the determination of the people of southern Cameroon. Okay. He should tell those Bulu terrorists who are burning, stealing, raping our people that Ambazonians are determined, and Ambazonia will never relent their effort. Okay. Ambazonians will never. Yeah, he should know that. Okay. It is very abundantly clear. Biya doesn't have interest to solve the problem. They left the Swiss-led negotiation. They went to Canada. What is happening in Canada? Nothing. Then you have the guts to be talking about genocide. This is not genocide. This is genocide. This is not genocide. Why not tell Biya to solve the problem, right? When you spend your time on issues that are not even relevant at this time, there is an ongoing crisis. So tomorrow, if there is a mass murder somewhere, you still be arguing this argument. It's high time Dr. Munzu start doing what is right, or start saying what is right, because you cannot be arguing in the midst of a crisis like this. The human rights abuses, all the type of human right tyranny against your people. Instead of looking at telling these people, go to the negotiation table, let's resolve this issue, you spend time. Okay, you talk of the difference of approach, manners of approach, right? you talk of that you don't want to go back, rewind the clock. If you don't rewind the clock, how do you gain back your own federalism that you're fighting? You say you are a proud federalist. But you have to know that all these things that they're doing on your people, you must fight back. You must fight back. Let's listen to his last argument.
It does not depend on my opinion or your opinion or the opinion of any other person or group. The question as to whether genocide has been or is being committed in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon was hotly debated on social media last week. I participated in that debate, expressing the view that it would be difficult, not impossible, I didn't say it was impossible, but that it would be difficult.
I like that.
To prove before a court of law that the Yaoundé regime intended specifically to destroy Anglophone Cameroonians as a group, partially or totally, as required by the definition of genocide in international criminal law. This is because Anglophones who have been living for decades in the 8 Francophone regions of Cameroon have so far not been targeted as a group since the current crisis.
Dr. Munzu, that is where I would differ with you, because you are trying to take where there is no war. There is no war in those areas. We're talking of the war in southern Cameroon. Don't try to base your argument on people living what we call internally displaced people. Those people are internally displaced, and they went to where there's no crisis. This war is a war in southern Cameroon. So don't try to go people who have been living there for their own time. That has nothing to do with it. The target is on southern Cameroonians in Ambazonia. Your argument now is about those people living in those areas. That has nothing to do with that. Genocide has occurred and is still occurring as we speak. Go ahead.
This began in 2016. At the same time, Anglophones fleeing the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions have sought refuge in the 8 Francophone regions.
Dr. Munzu, seeking refuge, how does that deny the fact that there is genocide? So you want them to stay where there is war so that they should be added to the number of those people being killed? If that's your own definition, people have to move where they have safety. That has nothing to do if that's an argument that they were not targeted or they are not being targeted. But we're talking about the crisis in Ambazonia. The people who have been targeted, that the military targets, are the people in your own area. You like to dangle between the names Anglophone, Southern Cameroon. Then you say you don't want the name Ambazonia, Northwest and Southwest. Whether all those names has nothing to do with the territory. Okay, if you have a piece of land with your 4 pillars, that land remains there. It's your land. You can change the name of that land, change the name of your street. It has nothing to do to the specific land. That land is there because it has a pillar and is recognized by the United Nations. That is how you have to define your own people. Okay? I know you don't, but this is a crisis happening in southern Cameroon. But you like to specify that it's northwest and southwest. Good and fine for you. But that will not stop us from defending our homeland, which is the southern Cameroon, the former British southern Cameroon, and it's called Ambazonia now.
That have welcomed them. These are verifiable facts. My point was that on these facts, those who claim that genocide is going on in Cameroon would find it difficult to prove specific intent to destroy Anglophone Cameroonians as a group.
Dr. Munzu, so you can only hold the La Republic government responsible for the crimes against humanity if it is genocide? So are the amount of people killed not enough for you to start holding them responsible? What do you mean? Do you mean that you can only hold them responsible when it is a genocide? There is mass killing, there is mass murder, there have been burning, scorched-earth policy. Our people have lost homes, our people have lost relatives. What other way can you help your people if you cannot use your own legal status as a lawyer, international lawyer, to hold the La Republic government responsible for the killings? I don't care if it's a genocide. You must not care if it's a genocide too. There has been killing. You are trying to put international legal balance, trying to defend the devil. You're trying to defend you have become devil's advocate against your own people. Right? It's so funny that you're trying to defend the indefensible. It's terrible.
That is all I said. My opponents in the social media debate argued that the intent to destroy Anglophones as a group could be inferred from the atrocity acts that have been committed against some of them. Fair enough. This meant that, as commonly happens on questions of law among lawyers, two opposing viewpoints exist on this legal issue. A day will probably come when a court in Cameroon or at the international level will rule that one of these viewpoints is right while the other is wrong. While we are still waiting for that day, my opponents, including a lawyer who practices before the International Criminal Court and might therefore be expected to understand the crucial legal point that I was making, were quick to accuse me of being a genocide denier and an apologist for genocide, which they claim is taking place in the southwest and northwest regions.
Of course. How can you...
This is insane.
It's not insane.
But look...
It's not insane, Dr. Munzu. It's not insane. You are a genocide denier because you don't want to say it's genocide, right? But you are saying that there will be a day that this legal issue will be judged. You're arguing something that has not been judged yet, but you are claiming that it's not genocide. I don't understand. So your own point of view is also flimsy. It's just an excuse, but you are defending something that you yourself know that one day there will be a day that it will be judged, and you will be part of that bundle because you are defending genocide that has not been judged yet, and your excuses are talking about, you don't want to support that there have been crimes. You said, okay, you said there have been crimes, but those crimes do not allude to genocide. But it doesn't matter. Be it genocide, mass murder, mass killings, mass whatever. Okay? It is left for the international community to term it as a genocide, but the perpetrators must be held to account. The Cameroon government must be held to account. That is the point. But you are not trying to make that point. You're trying to play the devil's advocate. Okay?
Surprising. The separatists do that all the time. Whenever they are unable to come up with a factual or legal argument to counter any of my contentions, they resort to personal attack.
Contention.
It's shameful and regrettable.
It's really shameful and regrettable, Dr. Munzu, that you instead of trying to look for ways to support your people, you pretentiously support the genocidal regime, crimes committed against your own people. You are instead calling them pretentious. Of course, it's regrettable, as we just said, for you playing that role against your own people.
When I take the government to task for the atrocities being committed in the southwest and northwest regions by its forces, the Yaoundé regime labels me as an apologist of secession, thus lumping me with separatists. When I challenge separatists to prove the existence of a major ingredient required by international criminal law to establish the crime of genocide, they label me as an apologist for genocide and lump me with the Yaoundé regime. That is how intolerant the Yaoundé regime and separatists have become. Since November 2017, mass atrocities have been committed against civilians by both sides to the armed conflict that is going on in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon. People have been arbitrarily executed or otherwise deprived of their lives. Villages, homes, hospitals, schools, churches, administrative buildings, and other non-military or civilian infrastructure and facilities have been burnt down, destroyed, vandalized, or looted. Women and girls have been raped. People's livelihoods have been destroyed and their economic activities have been interrupted. Children have been deprived of school and education. The list goes on. None of us can deny that these atrocities have been committed and continue to be committed by both sides against civilians in the former southern Cameroons.
That is what I am always not in accordance with you, Dr. Munzu. You spend your time looking at the crimes committed at both sides. When people come to your land, to your own country, you claim they will commit crimes, and you, instead of looking at those crimes that have been committed by these occupiers, you spend time trying to say, oh, crimes committed on both sides, on both. Have you first questioned the regime of the crimes committed on your own people? Can you even prove that there are crimes that have been committed by our own people? Because that's where you spend your time focusing on. When people have been attacked, when people's homes have been ransacked, burned down, when people have been displaced, what do you expect from them? They have no homes. People are suffering. You spend time, instead of looking at those things that can help your people, you instead spend time on saying that it's crimes on both sides, right? It is just unbelievable, because instead of you looking at those disproportionate way of those human rights, in that inhumane activities that have been committed on your people, you spend time looking at the other side. You say separatists are using violence or what you're trying to do. Look at the poor human rights records in the La Republique that the La Republique government is committing on your own people. It is very, very specific intent. Okay, the United Nations, the observers have mentioned that The killing is intent on the people of Southern Cameroon. That is what we expect from you, Dr. Munzu. We expect much better from you. When you want to bring your argument, try and make it factual too, because you are not being honest. You know that they are still killing, they are still massacring your people, they are still torturing your people. There is a new colonial regime marginalizing your people, trying to assimilate your people. Instead of helping them to come out from this, you said you are not for violence, you are not for this. So how do you move your people from somebody being attacked? If a lion, Lom Leon, as they call Bia, if a lion has attacked your people, how do you, what other means do you use to defend your people from that lion? Is it to say you are not going to use violence when the person is coming with violence? I don't think so. So you have to start rethinking your arguments, Dr. Munzu, because the way you bring your argument is always not the right approach. Okay? Yeah. So thank you very much, and we're gonna bring more of those issues that we. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all. God bless everybody and stay blessed as we keep